It is the 2018 home opener for the Georgia Gym Dogs in Stegman Coliseum as they welcome the two-time defending national champion Oklahoma Sooners here to Athens. Setting the stage for this afternoon, you have the winners of the last two NCAA championships, the Oklahoma Sooners, who accordingly were ranked first in the 2018 preseason poll. You look at their 2017 average. That is their average score, just a shade under a 198 last year, a 197.858. Georgia reached the NCAA semifinals a season ago after a season average of 196.565. They were ranked 16th in the 2018 preseason poll. They are a banged-up, injured team, and we're going to talk about that this afternoon. It begins right away on vault. You see only 5 names in the Georgia lineup. In fact, in 3 events today, Georgia will compete just 5, so all 5 count. Sabrina Vega will lead off, the sophomore, with her first home vault here in Stegman Coliseum, followed by Marissa Oakley, the freshman. Sophomore Rachel Dixon will be 3rd. Senior Lauren Johnson will be 4th. And Sydney Sneed in the 5th spot. She'll be in the all-around today and anchor the Gym Dogs on vault. I'm alongside Kat Hires, former Georgia Gym Dog. And Kat, I mean, right away we get into it. This is an injured Georgia team, and they took another big blow in their season opener on Friday night in Tuscaloosa, losing Gigi Marino to an Achilles injury. So this was already a team with really no margin for error, and they've lost her now on floor and vault, and there's just not someone ready at this moment to step in. So right away they're going to be under some pressure.
They definitely are, and they knew that coming into this season that they weren't able to lose anybody, and you're right, that was a big hit, losing Gigi Marino. So what they've got to do, they've got to step up these 5 spots, and consistency is going to be their key this year. If they've got 5, they've got to hit 5, and I know that they feel confident in those 5 routines, and so it's just a matter of them doing it under the pressure.
Yeah, they were under pressure at Alabama in that first rotation, only competing 5 on bars, and that was their best event of the night. So we'll see how it translates here this evening as you look at head coach KJ Kindler for the Oklahoma Sooners. Depth is not a problem for this team. They've got it in spades, and they've got terrific scores. Here is their lineup for the uneven bars. Their first rotation, they'll be led off by senior A.J. Jackson, followed by freshman Anastasia Webb. She begins her collegiate career in the all-around for Oklahoma today, so we'll keep an eye on her. Senior Stephanie Couture will be 3rd. Brenna Dow, the junior, will be 4th. Nicole Lehrman will be 5th. And Maggie Nichols, one of the best gymnasts, if not the best in the entire nation, just a sophomore. We were hoping to see her in the all-around today. She's going to be held out of vault, but we get to see her in the anchor spot on bars, and boy, she is going to be fun to watch. She
definitely is. She is such a talented gymnast, and definitely rivals the success that Courtney Kupets has had so far. All of her career highs are 10.0, so that's just so impressive. And she's going to be a fun gymnast to watch this year, having her freshman year under her belt. And Oklahoma, just in general, with the depth that they have 4 potential all-arounders this year. And so just having that in your back pocket is comforting, and you're able to put new faces in to kind of give your all-arounders a rest. So Oklahoma's looking forward to a great year this year as well.
Yeah, and Courtney Kupets is probably wondering, can you loan us 1 or 2, at least to just get us through the next 2 hours? As a first-year head coach, Courtney Kupets-Carter, again, synonymous with excellence in the sport of gymnastics, the most decorated gymnast in history, and we'll talk some more about her later today. But she has been dealt a tough hand in her first season as a head coach to try to figure out just how to piece these lineups together. Now, they're hopeful that they'll get some of these gymnasts back as the season goes on, but it doesn't help you right now over these next 2 hours against the #1 team in the preseason poll.
It definitely doesn't. They've got their work cut out for them today, but they're at home in front of a home crowd, and I know they're happy to be here, and they're looking to do great things with the 5 that they're putting up on those 3 events. So we'll see how it goes for the Gym Dogs.
Georgia was keeping it tight against Alabama at Coleman Coliseum in Tuscaloosa before they fell apart late on beam. They scored a 194.525 in a loss against their rival, the Crimson Tide. Oklahoma has not competed in 2018. They'll open their season in just a moment. But first on vault, it is Sabrina Vega. She did not vault as a freshman last year, had a 9.775 in her first collegiate vault at Alabama, but something different about getting to do it at home with that student section standing behind you.
Oh, definitely. You feel the energy from that student section right behind you, and I know that she loves to be in this start-off position on vault because it's something she didn't get to do last year, and I know she wants to compete and contribute to the team as much as she can, so it's good to see her in the lineup on this event. Yurchenko layout full. Very nice. Her chest is down a little bit on that landing, but very consistent start for them. It's a big vault, especially since, she probably hasn't vaulted in 3 or 4 years, and so it's good to see her back in the lineup with that difficult vault.
You go from not competing in a season ago to being counted on to start every home meet with it, and you know, she just had that little hop back on the landing. As that gets cleaned up, you can see the power and the distance is there already.
Definitely. Once she gets more comfortable with it, I think the scores you'll see them increase as the season goes on.
So Sabrina Vega has started Georgia off on vault, and now over to bars. They've got some experience here. Senior all-arounder AJ Jackson will start the meet for the Sooners.
AJ is a very experienced competitor, starting off with a beautiful pike Jaeger. Something that you'll notice with Oklahoma is, despite this being their first meet of the year, they are so polished in everything that they do, and you'll see clean landings and handstands from them all day long.
Yeah, you can take another look at this routine and see that is in close to mid-season form right there from AJ Jackson.
It definitely was, and you'll see that through and through from Oklahoma.
So after Sabrina Vega opened for Georgia, Marissa Oakley, the freshman, who again competed for the first time as a freshman at Alabama, gets to do it now at home after a 9.725 on Friday.
Another Yurchenko layout full. Great form, just a tiny little shuffle on the landing, but again, that was a beautiful vault.
Again, every vault takes on outsized importance right now for Georgia because they cannot afford a fall.
And the landings are something that'll come with season too. As they do more on the hard surface, they'll get used to the air awareness and that landing, and you'll see more sticks as the season goes on.
And we're back over to Anastasia Webb, the freshman beginning her career here in Athens in the all-around, starting on bars.
That's impressive for a freshman to start off her first meet in the all-around. You're nervous as it is starting your first college meet, but doing all 4 events, that's something crazy. So good for her. Props to her for making her way into those lineups. Beautiful double front dismount. That's a difficult landing because it's a blind landing, so you see she had to step back a little bit. But again, very clean routine from Oklahoma.
A great handstand work. Looked like she was taking her time, confident.
Great difficulty too with that surpass half in the middle of the routine. It says something when you can keep that difficulty and the form and the clean routines and the consistency that they've had.
They lost 7 routines from their championship season a year ago, and she's already, as a freshman, stepping in and filling 4 of them here today in the all-around. Rachel Dixon up 3rd for Georgia.
Yurchenko layout full for Rachel. Beautiful. Yurchenko layout fulls aren't the most difficult vaults that you can do, but they're very clean and they're easy to land, and so definitely with 5 up, that's what Georgia's looking to keep in the lineup, is that consistency. Beautiful form in the air, beautiful body position. She probably could have gotten a little more distance from the vault, but overall, that was a great vault. It'll be a good score.
And they certainly have some gymnasts that can upgrade to a 1.5 or a double full, which are both 10.0 start values, but you're right. Today is not the day that we're going to see that. When you've got 5, just throw 5 fulls out there and try to put up a number and move on.
Definitely. They just want to hit 5 for 5.
Back to bars now for senior Stephanie Couture.
She was right on top of that handstand. Had to fight it a little bit. Beautiful shoot over to hand. Again, beautiful. You can tell that they hit that handstand when they pause right there on top. Hit that 90-degree handstand and a stuck landing. That was a great routine.
So that was the one thing missing from the first 2 routines from Jackson and Webb, that stuck landing. Beautifully done by the senior Stephanie Couture. Oh, Georgia will try to keep pace on vault with Lauren Johnson. They've been building on their early scores, a 9.75 for Sabrina Vega, 9.8 for Marissa Oakley, and just a moment ago a 9.825 from Rachel Dixon. Here's the senior Lauren Johnson.
Lauren's capable of a huge vault. You can see that amplitude that she gets, just a tiny little hop on the landing. But I think those scores will continue to build. I think that'll be higher than a 9.825 for sure with that beautiful form in the air, just that tiny hop. But she keeps her feet glued the whole time, even on the mat when she lands.
Well, it feels like eons ago that she was the SEC vault champion. You were still a gymnast at that time.
Yeah, it was eons ago because, yes, I was still around.
It was in black and white back then in 2014. Lauren Johnson, 9.975 in the SEC championship. Here she is, leading the Gym Dogs as a captain in 2018. And we go back over to bars now for junior Brenna Dowell.
Beautiful release move there. Again, they're just so polished already that it's just so impressive. They've worked so hard over the fall, and those handstands are tough. That's something that comes with, you know, the experience of competing and being comfortable in front of a crowd, but they look comfortable up there already. Double A out and another stuck landing. That was a solid routine from Brenna Dowell.
Well, it helps you have so much experience in this lineup, too. With the exception of Webb, the freshman, we've seen senior, junior, and you can tell they are ready to go. And it's one of those old cliches that sticks are contagious, but we saw one and we see two right away from Oklahoma. Now finishing up for Georgia, their fifth and final vaulter will be Sydney Sneed.
Nice Yurchenko layout full. You can see the amplitude and the form and just the ease that she does that vault with. She's one of the ones that you were speaking about earlier, capable of upgrading. I know that they're looking for her to do a Yurchenko double full at some point this year, but right now with 5 in the lineup, keep it clean with the full. Very clean landing, very clean Yurchenko full. So that's what they were looking for, hit 5 for 5, and that's what they did.
Yeah, so the low score that Georgia will count will be that opening 9.75 from Sabrina Vega. You just see in the corner of your screen Lauren Johnson's 9.825 come up, and we'll see what Sydney Sneed can do in that 5th position. So we'll have 2 consecutive bars routines here from Oklahoma in the 5 and 6 positions, beginning with junior Nicole Lehrman, who is last year's national co-champion on this event.
Beautiful blind change into the straddle Jaeger. Just got great lines on this event. You can see the full extension through the shoulders and those handstands, and the head in. It's just, her bars are just gorgeous, and that's what the judges love to see, is that beautiful line up there. Half in, half out dismount, and you're right, sticky feet, that's contagious, and that's 3 in a row for the Sooners.
Yeah, it's following a 9.9 from Brenna Dowell and has a chance to build on it here. I mean, look at that. That's the last thing you put in the judge's mind. I mean, that's beautiful.
It is. You definitely want to end that routine with an exclamation point, and she did that.
And so they have set the table nicely for their star, Maggie Nichols, a sophomore who is typically most weeks in and out, going to be an all-arounder for Oklahoma, only competing 3 today. They're going to keep her out of vault. And that's something, too, we were talking about earlier that the Sooners have under their belt, is that depth, and that really helps to keep the girls healthy. And if they're struggling with, you know, a slight injury, then it's good to keep them out of the lineup and have another person step up. So here she is. They call her Swaggy Maggie, and we'll see why throughout the afternoon today.
Beautiful pike release move. And she's only a sophomore, but you can definitely tell she's comfortable up there. Just with her experience as a freshman. I mean, she killed it her freshman year, and I know she's looking to do the same for the rest of her career. Double A out dismount. I'd say that was a stick. I would give it to her. Her chest is down a little bit, but she fought for that, so I'll give it to her. Let's see if she... I don't think. I'd still give it to her.
Yeah.
Would you give it to her?
Yeah, yeah. Southern hospitality.
There you
You're
go.
down in Georgia. Yeah, well, that's a stick. She'll not be suffering for them this year. If you're at home and not giving that one to her, she'll have plenty more. It's fine.
Exactly.
So Oklahoma is going to open up with a lead after 1 rotation. And we'll see if Maggie Nichols can add to that margin by a bit as her scores come up. We're going to have an exhibition from Oklahoma before we move on to our second rotation, and this will be Alex Marks, the junior.
You'll see exhibitions a lot, especially early on in the season. And, oh, looks like her grip slipped off the bar. That's a tough thing to happen, and one in an exhibition just because, you know, you're nervous out there getting that routine out for the first time in front of a crowd. So you really don't want that to happen, but the good news is that score won't count. So it's just for, you know, getting the experience in front of the crowd. If you're not experienced on this event, doesn't look like she's competed bars much, so it's good to get out there.
And it basically, because of where it happened in the routine, you can kind of, for all intents and purposes, just block that out, reset, and start from scratch here.
Exactly. Good news is she gets to chalk up in between, so doesn't have to waste that chalk that she took off.
Yeah, Alex has not competed in bars in competition yet in her career, so trying to crack her way into that bars lineup. We saw the score just a moment ago come up from Maggie Nichols, a 9.925, which is the highest number for Oklahoma, and will actually give them a 49.425, the bars rotation.
Looks like they just decided to let her be done. You know, that's tough starting off, but the routine didn't count, so maybe they wanted her to start off on a better foot this time. Next time, she'll exhibition again and try again.
So it all adds up, though, when you take that exhibition out of it, for a solid lead for Oklahoma at the end of one, 49.425 for the Sooners on bars. We'll recap the first rotation when we come back to Stegman Coliseum in Athens. This year, Oklahoma leads at the end of one rotation, 49.425 for the Sooners on bars, 49.050 for Georgia on vault. I'm Kevin Kopp alongside former Georgia gym dog Kat Hires. Kat, Georgia on vault survived, and I think in a lot of ways that may be the word for today. There's 3 different events today where they're only competing 5 gymnasts, and the key is count no falls, 5 up, 5 count. They did that, and Oklahoma, on the other hand, put up some big numbers on bars.
They did. You know, Georgia may be a little tight because they only have those 5 routines, so they know they all count. Usually you have that cushion of the 6 routine. They don't have that on 3 events today, and that's huge. And Oklahoma, you can see they're comfortable because they have that depth. So that's going to be the story of today. I think Georgia's, like you said, trying to survive.
Well, the Sooners lead by just under 4/10 after one rotation, and it has been KJ Kindler at the helm for Oklahoma that has led them to be kind of the next power in collegiate gymnastics. For so long, there were only 4 schools that had won a national championship, and she broke through for Oklahoma. It's in her 12th season as head coach in Norman. She is a 3-time national head coach of the year, and she has led Oklahoma to each of their first 3 NCAA titles. They had to share the first one with Florida, and they've won the last 2 outright in 2016 and 2017, and that is a big part of the reason why they are ranked first in this year's 2018 preseason poll. Preseason poll is interesting. It's the only one that's voted on by the coaches, and you can see the respect from around the country for Oklahoma, edging out Florida for that top spot in the preseason poll. You've got a trio of SEC teams right behind them: Florida, LSU, Alabama, each with national championship aspirations. And at the bottom of your screen, you see Georgia ranked 16th in the preseason poll. Right now, a little bit interesting. Neither team is ranked. Oklahoma, because they haven't competed, and Georgia, they're still carrying that low score from Friday night at Alabama, so not ranked for this week, but they'll be back in that top 25 you would expect. So we'll take a look at the scores from Oklahoma on bars. Always a good thing when you're dropping a 9.85. They had 3 of them from Jackson Webb and Couture in those first 3 spots, and then built those scores throughout the lineup with their big hitters, Brenna Dow and Nicole Lehrman, 9.9s, and Maggie Nichols, 9.925. For Georgia on vault, that 49.050, they got there without dropping a score, needing to count all 5 of theirs. Sydney Sneed was the high score in the anchor spot with a 9.85. Before her, 2 9.825s from Rachel Dixon and Lauren Johnson, 9.8 from Marissa Oakley, and the low score that they counted, a 9.75 from Sabrina Vega. So we'll be back to Stegman Coliseum with rotation 2 in a moment. Back, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Kopp, Kat Hires with you here inside Stegman Coliseum. We are getting ready to start the second rotation from Athens. It's the Oklahoma Sooners, the preseason #1 team in the nation, with a lead of just under 4/10, 49.425 for the Sooners on bars, 49.050 for Georgia on vault. Now Oklahoma will move to vault, Georgia to bars. Here is the Oklahoma vault lineup. Bree Showers, the sophomore, will lead off, followed by Nicole Lehrman. Jade Degavea will be 3rd, Brenna Dow 4th, freshman all-arounder Anastasia Webb 5th, and senior all-arounder AJ Jackson 6th for the Sooners. Will be led off by Bree Showers here on vault. This will be her first collegiate vault, returning from an injury that caused her to miss last season as a freshman.
Chinko out full. There, nice, clean body in the air, nice amplitude, small hop on the landing, but good first vault. Beautiful form in the air. Her legs were just glued together the whole time.
And now over to Georgia on bars, second straight event where it's 5 up, 5 count. So again, that margin for error is 0. You've got a senior, Lauren Johnson, who will lead off, followed by Marissa Oakley, the freshman, Natalie Vikulik, a senior, Sydney Sneed, a junior, and Rachel Dixon, a sophomore. Here is Lauren Johnson.
Lauren's a very powerful bar swinger, as you can see with that massive ginger. Got a little bit of a leg separation there, but minor deductions. Getting ready for her dismount. Double layout. Step, couple steps there, but good routine, good start, and a hit. So they've got 1 out of 5 hits that they're looking for.
She had a 9.775 to open up for Georgia. Started the meet on bars at Alabama.
It's good to have a senior in that first spot too, because you know she's experienced. She's competed bars her whole career, so she knows what to do in that first spot. It's good to know that you're going to have a hit regardless.
And try to take a little pressure off of Marissa Oakley, the freshman, who will be behind her. Back to vault, Nicole Lehrman.
Again, another Yurchenko full. Looked like that was a stuck landing, so that's going to be a good score for them. I'd like to see a little more height off the horse, but you can tell she kind of just drilled her feet right into the mat and stuck it, so no deductions there on the landing.
And Nicole, not a ton of vaulting experience. Didn't vault last year as a sophomore. Going back to her freshman year, her career high is a 9.85. So, you know, she's just got so much talent that you figure you get her in there, she's going to be able to find a way to score.
Definitely, and she'll improve as the season goes on too.
Over to Georgia now. This is freshman Marissa Oakley, who had a 9.8 in her first bar routine at Alabama.
It's huge for Marissa to be in this lineup too, because she suffered from some minor shoulder injuries throughout the fall, and it was questionable whether she was going to get back in this lineup. And you know, with them putting 5 up, she's crucial in this lineup, so it's good to see her back in the lineup with beautiful handstands. Usually that's not something you see from a freshman, especially so early on in the season. And a stuck landing, so that was a great routine to put up second.
Boy, that's a moment she's going to remember. First routine in Stegman Coliseum, sticks the landing to finish her bars routine. Beautifully done by the freshman Marissa Oakley.
It was, and that wasn't the most difficult dismount, but I'm sure they're looking to make that a little, add the difficulty later on in the season.
So that is following a 9.75 from Lauren Johnson. We're on vault. Oklahoma opened with a 9.875 from Bree Showers. And now in the third spot for Oklahoma, Jade Degovea.
Yurchenko 1.5. A little more difficulty. That one starts from a 10. The Yurchenko full just starts from a 9.95. So it's good to start from the 10. And it's a blind landing, so it's a little more difficult to land, which you can see she had to take a hop out of it. But it's good to see that difficulty in the lineup too, especially in that third spot.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that's going to help Oklahoma separate themselves, not just in dual meet season, but even looking ahead to the postseason. When you have your eyes on a national championship, as many of those 1.5s as you can get in the lineup, as many 10.0 vaults as you can get, that helps when the margin for victory sometimes is that razor thin. And we're going to see a whole bunch of them starting with Degovea there.
We definitely will, and you're right. In the postseason, it gets to the point where you have to have the difficult skills and you have to be able to hit them cleanly, because that's what everybody's doing. So that margin for error gets smaller and smaller as the season goes on.
Just an extra moment while we wait on the scores to come up for Marissa Oakley. And Natalie Vikulik will be in the third position for the Gym Dogs. Senior who was limited last year. She only competed twice on vault, but back there in that lineup, and obviously it goes without saying that Georgia needs her.
They definitely do, and Natalie was out last year for the majority of the year due to an illness, and so I know that she's ready to be back in the lineup as a senior and to contribute. And she's got a new skill that she's put in this bar routine, and it is beautiful, so she's ready to show it off. Nice first handstand. The full pirouette into a massive ginger. Beautiful form. Her legs stayed glued together that entire time. Nice shoot over to hand, straight into the sit-up. Last stance they may have been a little bit short. And a full-out dismount. Just a tiny step, but again, that was a good routine. That's what they want. They want hit routines, and so that's what they're doing.
I mean, she's certainly got enough amplitude on this dismount.
She does. You could walk under that dismount. She's got a little bit of leg separation when she grabs her leg to get that rotation, but beautiful, huge dismount.
That's following a 9.75 and 9.725 from Lauren Johnson and Marissa Oakley. On vault, Brenna Dow.
Another Yurchenko 1.5, and that one was nailed. She did not move her feet. That was a beautiful 1.5. You can see she adds an extra half. Doesn't see the floor before she lands, but she knew right where it was, and you can tell by that smile on her face.
She had a perfect 10 in their intra-squad back in December, and so you may take that with a grain of salt, but it's real judges, and it shows that she's certainly capable of it. I mean, that's week one. We'll see, report back by April and see if Brenna has cracked through. Sydney Sneed up fourth for Georgia on bars.
Clear hip into the Tkachev. Sydney has beautiful form on all four events she competes. Coach Kupets-Carter says she's a stickler and a perfectionist for her own form, so you can see it definitely shows off in her competition. Into the double layout, stuck landing. That's the routine they wanted. That was a beautiful routine from Sneed. That's gonna be a momentum builder going into that last routine from Rachel Dixon. Threw that head back. Look at that big smile. She's happy she got that stick in front of the home crowd.
Yeah, and at some point, obviously hitting is the most crucial for Georgia, but at some point you want those big numbers. You want to be able to count on those big scores in the back half of your lineup, and Sydney Sneed has set the table for Rachel Dixon there. Back to vault for Anastasia Webb.
Interesting vault. Yurchenko half on front pike. That's also a 10-0 start value because of its difficulty. And you don't see a lot of variation in college gymnastics anymore with vault, so it's good to see something different. You can see she does that half twist onto the horse and then a front pike off. Again with a blind landing, but she had just a minimal hop, so good vault for Oklahoma.
They'll have one left, AJ Jackson, as we go back to bars for Rachel Dixon.
It says a lot having a sophomore in your anchor position on bars. Rachel contributed hugely last year, and I know they're looking for her to do the same this year. And obviously, through the fall, she has, because she's in this spot, proven herself to do well under this pressure. Do a huge double layout, tiny hop, but that's going to be another big score. Like you said, they want to hit, but they want to hit well, and she did that.
Georgia's two all-arounders, Sydney Sneed and Rachel Dixon, picked them up late. Sneed had a 9.85, and we'll see what this routine from Rachel Dixon scores. We've got one vaulter left. Georgia only competing 5, so they have wrapped up. They're 10 for 10 thus far, and we'll have senior AJ Jackson to cap off the Oklahoma vault rotation. High score right now is the 9.95 from Brenna Dow. That's stuck 1.5, and the score they're trying to drop is a 9.825.
Yurchenko layout 1.5. They've got great difficulty. Very clean in the air, and she knew right where the landing was. Just had to take a tiny little hop. But to have that many 1.5s in your first meet, that's very impressive. And, you know, they're just going to get better from there.
Yeah, that's four 10.0s for Oklahoma, 10.0 starts, and that's without Maggie Nichols. So Oklahoma will add to their lead through rotation 2. We'll recap the scores and bring you up to speed as we've hit the midpoint here at Stegman Coliseum. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Kopp and Kat Hires with you. We're halfway home here in the home opener for the Georgia Gym Dogs. 98.875, just off a 198 pace for Oklahoma through 2 rotations. 98.125 for Georgia Gym Dogs. You're looking at Courtney Kupets-Carter, who adorns the facade here at Stegman Coliseum, and now in her first season as head coach of the team that she competed for, won 4 team national titles with, and just a name that is synonymous, as I said, with excellence in the sport of collegiate gymnastics, Courtney Kupets-Carter, and she is assisted by her former head coach, Suzanne Jacqueline-Liebern, who is now the volunteer assistant coach, and always nice when you can have 25 years of head coaching experience and 10 national titles as your volunteer assistant.
Definitely. It's kind of funny that they've switched roles because, now Courtney's the boss. Suzanne is kind of doing what Courtney says, but Suzanne's definitely leading her in that position, because she has that experience under her belt. And Courtney says that it's a comfort to have her when she has questions about things and ways to handle things. So it's a dynamic duo they've got down there.
Yeah, certainly interesting to think about how those dynamics have changed since her competing days. And here is Courtney Kupets-Carter back in the day. Phenomenal gymnast, 4 team national titles, and the most decorated gymnast in the history of the sport.
She is, and she was the epitome of consistency for her team, just a rock-solid anchor on all 4 events. And, I know that she's looking to use what she did as a gymnast and bring it towards her team as a coach.
9 NCAA individual titles, and remember, she missed one of those seasons because of injury, so she would have had even more had she stayed healthy in 2008. 4 team national titles, a 15-time All-American. Before she came to Georgia, she was a 2004 Olympian, part of that team silver medal, and won an individual bronze on bars. And she did have 1 year of student coaching at Georgia and is now back as the head coach here in 2018. Looking at the scores from Georgia on bars, they got the 9-9 from Rachel Dixon in the anchor spot, and a 9-7-5 from Lauren Johnson, 9-7-2-5 from Marissa Oakley, and then in the middle a 9-8-5 from Natalie Vikulik and from Sydney Sneed. Oklahoma on vault continued what they did on bars and added to it with some more big numbers. The 9-9-5, the high score from Brenna Dow, dropped a 9-8-2-5 from Degavea. So it's Oklahoma on top at the midpoint. We're coming back with rotation 3 when we continue from Athens. Through 2 rotations. Georgia with a 98-1-2-5. We're headed to rotation 3, and for Georgia that means the balance beam, and this is where it came undone for them at Coleman Coliseum on Friday night in Tuscaloosa. So we'll see if the weekend and the preparations in the gym can get them back where they want to be. Beam is the one event where they have 6 competing, so they do get that little margin for error back in. They'll be led off by Sydney Sneed, the junior, Marissa Oakley, the freshman, second, pair of seniors, Natalie Vikulik and Vivi Bobolis in the 3rd and 4th spots, and then 2 sophomores, Rachel Dixon and Sabrina Vega, will round out the beam lineup for Georgia. And so we begin with Sydney Sneed.
They really want to start off strong with this first routine and get that positive momentum going. Beautiful triple series, back handspring, layout, step out, back handspring. It's just so important for them to have consistency on this event because it's a very mental event. Those 4 inches are real skinny when you're up there and being judged by 4 judges. So it's a tough position to be in, and especially after their meet against Alabama a couple days ago, that's still in their head as much as they don't want it to be, and they're trying to start fresh. It's a tough thing to overcome, and that's what they're going to be looking forward to doing today to kind of get the ball rolling in the right direction again.
This is a small balance check there for Sneed. Obviously, you have a terrific gymnast in this leadoff spot, which helps, but this is a lot of difficulty for a leadoff beam routine where you really want to set the tone and make sure you hit.
It is definitely, but it shows that the coaches have the confidence in Sydney to do that and to start off with that difficulty. Beautiful round-off double full dismount, and that was, you can see their confidence in her paid off because she did what they needed to do in that first spot. Beautiful round-off double full, just a slight shuffle.
So Sydney Sneed hits first for Georgia on beam, and now looking at the floor lineup, Bree Showers, the sophomore, will lead off, followed by Brenna Dow, freshman Anastasia Webb, pair of sophomores Jade Degavea and Maggie Nichols, and then senior all-arounder AJ Jackson in the anchor spot for Oklahoma. And for the sophomore Showers, who was injured last year, this is her first career floor routine.
Starting off with a double pike, huge amplitude. It's always fun to showcase your routines, especially in the first meet of the year, because it's a new routine, brand new. Nobody's seen it yet, so it's fun to show it off. I know they're excited to do it in front of their home crowd back when they get home to Oklahoma. Switch ring into the torte full. Whip half front full. Great routine to start off with. Very clean landings, and one of the things that's a struggle in the beginning of the year is their endurance, and she didn't look like she had an issue with that on her third pass.
No problems there at all. So a fine start for Oklahoma on floor. She'll look forward, as you said, Kat, to going home next week in the home opener with a little more receptive crowd to show this one off. But look at how she finishes up there in pass number 3. So Georgia got a 9.85 from Sydney Sneed, just a shade off of her career high to open things up. And now Marissa Oakley, who did take a fall against Alabama, will try to bounce back here in the second spot for Georgia on beam.
Beautiful full turn there, wolf turn. Adds a little more difficulty being down that low and lifting that leg. Looks like she was going to connect a jump out of that leap. Hopefully she'll get that connection with the split leap ring jump. Her nerves are more than likely pretty high up here. Number 1, because she fell last week, and number 2, because she's in front of her home crowd, and it's a little nerve-wracking, especially trying to redeem herself after a fall last week. You can tell she's a little bit tight just with the small balance checks that you see and the misconnection. That was beautiful. Beautiful combo. You can see her team cheering her on in the background too. Cartwheel gainer full with a stuck landing. So a sigh of relief for the freshman. That's a tough position to be in, and they're happy she's hit. You can see she's happy. There's that look of relief on her face. And ended it with a stick. It's always good to end with that little exclamation point.
It's nice too, it's tough to open a season on the road on Friday and home on Monday, but one good thing is you don't have to wait 7 days. I'm sure that's a long week, as you can attest, and you have a routine that didn't go the way you wanted it to. You got to wait all the way until that next Friday to compete, so 3 days later you're back out here, and a nice moment there for Marissa Oakley. And over on floor, this is Brenna Dow following a 9.85 from Bree Showers.
Very unique first pass there, huge difficulty, front handspring double front, and just insane control on that first pass. That's a really difficult pass in general, and to have the clean landing like that was very impressive.
Yeah, Brenna having a nice day. She's got so much power. She plugged that Yurchenko 1.5 earlier for a 9.95.
When you've got that huge tumbling too, one of the things that you look for are those clean landings, and you can see that she's jumped out of her first 2 passes, and that's definitely a way to minimize those landings, especially out of hard passes such as the first one that was a blind landing. Adding that jump kind of gives you that cushion to redeem yourself. If you're a little bit off, you can make it a clean landing. Beautiful front layout, front full. That was another very clean routine from Oklahoma.
Great routine and some Taylor Swift floor music on top of it, so she's won me over.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed you figured out that that was Taylor Swift. You must be a secret fan.
Once in a while I get one. I get one of these. I guess not so secret fan now.
Not anymore.
Over on beam now for Georgia, Natalie Vikulik.
Beautiful aerial into the wolf jump. Natalie's in that same position where she wants to redeem herself from last week. She was one of the ones that had a little bit of difficulty, so, and I keep saying last week, it was, like you said, 2 days ago, so.
It was that aerial that got her on Friday at Tuscaloosa, so she's past that now.
Nice handspring layout. She looks determined up there. A little bit of a balance check, but kept it to a minimum. Preparing for her dismount. Round off 1.5, tiny hop, but again, she's definitely happy with that routine because didn't quite go that way 2 days ago, and so it's good to redeem herself and get that ball rolling in the right direction again for her and for the team.
So that's 2 of the 3 gymnasts that fell on Friday have already gotten a shot at instant redemption and taken advantage of it. A fine routine there from the senior Vikulik, and Georgia halfway home on the balance beam. 9.85 and 9.9 are the first 2 scores for Oklahoma on floor. Dow had a 9.9, and this is Anastasia Webb.
Her handspring front double full. Again, another E-pass to start off the routine. They're showing their difficulty right out of the gate, and that only proved to be beneficial for them going into the rest of the season because they can polish up and perfect every skill that they do. Round off 1.5, punch front full. Again, probably that difficulty is not needed right out the gate, but it's impressive that she can add that extra difficulty, especially as a freshman too.
Yeah, we talk about so many teams look to upgrade as the season goes on. You kind of hit that midpoint of the season and start thinking about putting those passes in. Oklahoma's just throwing 4 10.0 vaults, throwing E-level passes right here from the word go.
Just because they can. Just shows the depth and the talent that they have on these teams. Last pass of Rudy. A couple steps out of there, but overall very clean routine, and I think she'll be happy with that for her first routine, full routine as a freshman.
Yeah, first collegiate meet for Anastasia Webb, and having a nice day in the all-around. 2 9.85s so far going into floor, and she still has beam remaining. Over on beam for Georgia is Vivi Babelis. The judges are still getting together and talking over the scoring for Vikulik before. Last year, Vivi on beam and 9.763 average. She competed in every meet of the season last year on this event. So, I mean, she has done so many of these in her career. Now starting off her senior season here at home, you get a very seasoned beam worker here for Georgia.
Definitely, and that's someone that you want in the middle of the lineup, regardless of how you start. You know what you're going to get with Vivi, and she's very consistent and very contributive up there, and so it's good for her to be in this spot in the lineup.
Just a few extra seconds to think this one through in her mind before she gets up there. Vivi had a 9.8 for Georgia on Friday night.
That's one of the worst things too, when you're waiting to salute the judges and they're talking over the score before, just making you stand there and sweat.
No, look at me.
Front aerial, back layout, step out. Very nice. It's a unique combo. A lot of people don't do that. but it's impressive that she can connect it, because going forward to backwards like that, it's a tough thing to do up there on 4 inches. Switch leap split jump into the back tuck, very solid. After talking to Courtney too, beam is one of their strongest events this year, and they feel very confident up there, and I think they were very disappointed with their they definitely put in the effort, but with the outcome of last week's meet. And so I think definitely they're wanting to showcase what they've been doing all fall, and so far so good for the Gym Dogs. Heading into a dismount, a front full, tiny hop, but again, a very solid routine, another good contribution to this all-around score for beam. Solid routine from the senior.
Yeah, it's got to be one of those frustrating things as a coach, and every coach says it. That's not what we see in the gym every day, and obviously that is the big kernel of this sport, is taking what you see when the lights aren't on and when there's not 10,000 people in the building and translating it into these high-pressure situations. But you know, statistically, beam was Georgia's weakest event last year, and you're absolutely right. I think they pegged this as a strength from the word go, and they're certainly backing that up more today than what we saw on Friday.
Definitely. They have the potential. It's just a matter of doing it under the pressure, under the lights, and in front of all these people.
So after a 9.825 from Anastasia Webb, here is Jade DeGavea.
Looks like she got lost in the air there a little bit. Not sure what her first pass was supposed to be, but she ended up just doing a front 1.5 and bouncing back out of it. Sometimes you just get lost in the air. You start to twist and you lose the feel for where you are, and you just kind of have to go with it. Double pike second pass. And she's must have some built up adrenaline. That was big. She bounced out of it a little bit.
So this is the first real moment of adversity this whole afternoon for Oklahoma. You know, they are human. And of course, over the course of a long season, you're going to have moments like this. So now you've got a couple of floor routines left that you need to go out and hit under pressure. And certainly be interesting to see how Oklahoma performs right now, because they've really been on cruise control up until this point.
They have been, and this will be the routine that they're looking to drop. So you're right, the next ones up in the lineup, they'll definitely want to hold up their end and have some solid routines so that they're able to drop this score.
Helps when those two are Maggie Nichols and A.J. Jackson.
Definitely. They've had some experience, and they've got some huge tumbling, so I don't think they'll really have an issue.
So a bit of a disappointment there for the sophomore Jade DeGavea, who takes a fall on that first pass. Kind of insult to injury. They'll get her for the fall and get the 1/10 neutral deduction as she came out there. So certainly that is what Oklahoma will try to drop, and they've got the right personnel behind her to try to do that. Over on beam now for Georgia. Here is Rachel Dixon.
Rachel taking her time up here before front aerial into the switch leap, into the straddle quarter. That's a nice combination and difficult to start off with, but she handled it well. It's important to remember to take your time up there, because a lot of times your instincts are to just rush through it, get on, get off, and do your job, but you've got to breathe up there too, and that definitely calms the nerves. So you can see Rachel's taking her time up there. Hamstring layout, step out. Beautifully done. Hamstring 1.5 for a dismount. Tiny, tiny hop, but this is looking like a different beam team than it was on Friday, so I know that Coach Kupets-Carter is going to be way happier with this performance so far, at least, and hopefully they can keep it going.
No doubt about it. What a difference 3 days makes from the trouble they got into in Tuscaloosa. This is coming off of a matching the career high. Vivi Babalis a 9.9. Rachel Dixon will be pleased with that being routine, and still 1 to go, and Sabrina Vega in that anchor spot can now compete pressure-free with 5 hits in front of her. A little bit of pressure, meanwhile, on the other side for Maggie Nichols, up 5th for Oklahoma following the first fall of the afternoon for the Sooners.
Starting up with a huge double tuck. You can tell she's definitely going to add a more difficult skill, maybe a full in on later on in the season. Front full, front layout step out. That was an interesting way to step out of that pass, but again, minimizing the deductions on the landing.
Kat alluded to this earlier, but Maggie Nichols' career high on every event is a 10. She hit for the cycle as a freshman last year with at least 110 on each of the 4 events.
That's definitely got to help your confidence coming into your sophomore year as a freshman. You're able to score a 10 on each event. You know, Oklahoma is happy to have her on their team. Nice 2-foot landing there out of that double pike last pass.
And the scariest thing about Maggie Nichols, I guess if you're not an Oklahoma fan, the scariest thing, or if you are, the best part is KJ Kindler said she's in better shape this year than she was last year. They said she was a little bit tired. She had off-season knee surgery, and she's better than ever. So I don't know what better than 10 is.
Exactly.
But, watch out.
It definitely is scary for other teams and other fans, but Oklahoma's happy to have her on their team.
She is a joy to watch, and a terrific floor routine there for Maggie Nichols. 1 to go, and that will be A.J. Jackson for Oklahoma. Georgia, meanwhile, has already put up their best score on an event so far today. So this is how you want to go up if you're Sabrina Vega. No pressure. They can only add to it. Dropping a 9.675 from Natalie Vicula.
They'll definitely want to drop that score just to get the highest event score they've gotten so far, and Sabrina's definitely capable of adding to that score and getting a nice 9.9 or so. So far, so good with that beautiful handspring layout. Front aerial into the beat jump. See, they just have a few little balance checks within their dance, and that just comes from the nerves as well of competing in front of the home crowd for the first time. But they'll get those little kinks out, especially once the crowd gets into that cheer from that moonwalk.
Something special about seeing that for the first time here at home in front of a sold-out crowd.
Aerial into the layout full, tiny hop forward, but I think that'll definitely allow them to drop that lower score from Natalie. So I think they're definitely happy with that rotation as compared to 2 days ago. So they'll take it.
Unbelievable to go from a 48 flat at Alabama, 3 falls, counted 2 of them, 6 up, 6 hit for Georgia here today at Stegman Coliseum. A great adjustment. And you got to give a little tip of the hat to the coaching staff as well for getting them mentally set, because the skills are obviously there, and getting them refocused and to be able to come out and hit today, that's really remarkable.
It really is, and on beam nonetheless too. That's a difficult event, definitely plays with your brain a little bit if you have some adversity, so great job by the gym dogs and the coaching staff.
Now on floor in the anchor spot, A.J. Jackson for Oklahoma.
Talk about somebody fun to watch on the floor exercise. A.J. Jackson really plays in her routine, and she's got the huge tumbling to follow it up, and it's just an impressive routine overall. She just bounces right out of those floor passes. Oklahoma definitely has a variety of choreography in their routines, and hats off to KJ Kindler. She actually choreographs all their floor routines, and she does a great job. definitely entertaining, and they've got the big tumbling too to add into it.
And great variety throughout.
Definitely. You can see that they play to their personalities, which is the best thing to do because then they show off their routine and they can express themselves on the floor. Deep breath before her last pass. Huge double pike. I'd say that was pretty much stuck. She doesn't even look tired, so.
No. Well done by A.J. Jackson and Oklahoma. Sure enough, not that there was any doubt, but they'll go ahead and drop that fall from Degavea with a 9-9 for Maggie Nichols and something right back in that range here from A.J. Jackson.
Just huge tumbling. You can see on that first pass is a full in. A lot of people grab their legs. She didn't even have to. She just keeps it open. So impressive.
We will have an exhibition each here before we take a break. Jasmine Arnold, the senior, in on beam for Georgia.
Jasmine's a senior on this team and breaking through in the lineups on floor and hopefully being here pretty soon. Getting her out in front of this crowd is great for her experience, and it's important to have those people in the 7th spots, 8th spots, pushing the people in the lineup because it continues to make those people strive to be better to stay in the lineup. It's good to have a little healthy competition, and so far so good for Jasmine on beam right here.
And we're going to see her again in just a moment as she will be leading off for Georgia on floor.
Switch to straddle quarter. Jasmine's such a hard worker and hasn't quite broken into the lineups before in her past years, but it's good to see her senior year. She's able to do this and get out in front of the crowd and showcase what she's been working on.
She seems to be a team favorite too. You can tell going back to the first look when we were here in December that her team seems so genuinely thrilled to see someone who's put in all that work for 3 years get to actually compete, be in that lineup as a senior is pretty neat. Now over to Oklahoma, who will have a floor exhibition. Let's see, the score came in just a moment ago from A.J. Jackson, a 9-9. So back-to-back 9-9s for Oklahoma.
Double pike first pass. A little bit of a foot movement there, bounce out of it. But it's good to see that aggression. Better to have aggressive mistakes than it is timid mistakes. Second pass, 1.5 front layout. And this is Evie Schofer. She's a freshman for the Sooners, so, you know, first showcase out in front of an away crowd is tough, but that's why they're getting her out there. They're putting the pressure on her and allowing her to get the first routine under her belt without the pressure of having to score and contribute to the team. So this is a good chance for her to get that first one under her belt, double tuck at the end, landed a little bit short, and that's like I was saying in the beginning of the season with endurance. It looks like she just kind of ran out of gas a little bit at the end. But good news, she gets that experience, and that foul doesn't have to affect the team.
So that won't end up affecting the score. Oklahoma put together a very nice floor rotation in Georgia with their best rotation of the day on beam. Both teams scoring well, and we'll have one rotation left as Georgia heads to floor and Oklahoma to beam when we come back to Stegman Coliseum. Rotations complete here in the home opener for the Gym Dogs. It's Oklahoma leading by 0.8, 148-250 for the Sooners, 147-450 for the Georgia Gym Dogs with one event remaining. Kevin Kopp alongside former Georgia Gym Dog Kat Hires. Kat, Georgia has to be pleased with what they're doing right now. They've hit all 16 of the routines they've put out there and beam night and day from what it was on Friday night against Tuscaloosa. Oklahoma, just so much firepower, and they have come out of the gate exactly as we would expect them to look in April, let alone in January.
They definitely have, and I think it's been what both teams have expected and have been looking to do. They've had those consistent hit routines, and Oklahoma's been super polished finished like they've been planning, and Georgia really was looking to hit all their routines, and so far so good. So I think it's been a success for both teams so far, and they're looking to close it out on this last event.
Yes, one routine left, and we'll take a look at the upcoming schedules for both sides. Beginning with Oklahoma, they will look forward to getting back to the Lloyd Noble Center in Norman for their home opener on January 21st, tri-meet against Iowa State and Texas Women's, and then they're back on the SEC Network Plus when they head to Gainesville, Florida. They've actually got 3 road meets in SEC territory this year. They'll be in Gainesville on January 26th, at UCLA on February 4th, and then home against North Carolina on February 11th, home against Nebraska. Big 12 competition on February 16th. Georgia, we get to turn right around and come back with you on Friday night. Kat and I will be here for Georgia and Auburn, the SEC home opener for the Gym Dogs Friday at 7 o'clock on the SEC Network Plus, and then Georgia all over the SEC Network in the coming weeks at Arkansas, January 26th, Missouri here at home on February 3rd, at Kentucky on the 9th, and then home against Florida, always a great one. That's February 16th on the SEC Network. Georgia on Beam put together their best rotation today. Always helps when you have 6 and can actually drop a score. Sydney Sneed got the scoring started, 9.85. Marissa Oakley, 9.8. Back-to-back 9.9s, including a match of the career high for Vivi Babalis. Rachel Dixon also had a 9.9, and then Sabrina Vega, 9.875 in the anchor spot. They dropped the 9.675 from Natalie Vikulik. And on the Oklahoma side, they had their first little hiccup of the day from Jade Degovea, but were able to drop that 9-1 with back-to-back 9.9s for Maggie Nichols and A.J. Jackson. Also a 9.9 in there from Brenna Dow earlier in the lineup. So Oklahoma adds to their lead. It's 8/10. The Sooners over the Gym Dogs. We'll come back to Stegman Coliseum for the final rotation in just a moment. Rocking right now as we get ready for the final rotation. We've seen some great gymnastics this afternoon. Oklahoma 148-250 through 3 rotations. Georgia 147-450. So the Sooners on top by 8/10, but Georgia coming off of their best rotation of the day on beam. They'll head to floor, and Oklahoma will get the rotation started on the balance beam. They'll be led off by Stephanie Couture. Bree Showers will be second, A.J. Jackson third, Nicole Lehrman fourth, Anastasia Webb fifth, and then Maggie Nichols in the anchor spot. The sophomore will finish things up for Oklahoma. Before we get started, I should mention that in the break, Nebraska is no longer in the Big 12. They're now in the Big 10. So when I was talking about the Oklahoma schedule, I caught it as soon as I said it. So. Yeah, I know. Yeah, man, I can't slip I was just testing to make sure, first meet, making sure everyone's listening, making sure everyone's awake. You guys passed the test. Very good.
They are awake, yes. It's all right, Kevin. We forgive you. Stephanie Couture is just looking to start off this beam lineup just with a solid routine so that Oklahoma can get this solid team score to add to their overall all-around score. They just need to do it. They've been practicing and stay calm up there.
I think as a coach, you love having a senior in this role.
Definitely. Just a little balance check there, but just, she's been in these positions before. She's competed beam before, and she knows what this first spot is, the importance of it, and what the motive is behind having her up there. And so I'm sure that KJ is comfortable with her because she's so experienced. Beautiful front aerial. Regardless of how experienced you are, though, it's still tough starting off the beam lineup, especially first meet of the season. So far, she's handling it great. So just that small balance check, but overall that was a great solid routine for Oklahoma to start off. A nice gainer back pike dismount. Tiny hop, but very clean routine.
And Jasmine Arnold will now get ready to lead off for the Gym Dogs on floor. She'll be followed by another senior, Vivi Babalis, junior Sydney Sneed, sophomore Rachel Dixon, and sophomore Sabrina Vega. Of course, the name notably absent from that list is Gigi Marino, Georgia's senior, and one of the best floor performers in Georgia history, in the history of the program. Injured her Achilles on Friday at Alabama and will not compete here for the Gym Dogs. So it's another 5-up, 5-count scenario.
double pike for Jasmine, starting off with that first pass. Quick turnaround for her, exhibitioning on beam and then starting off the floor lineup. Grounded back handspring, double tuck. Again, nice clean landing for that second pass. You're right though, losing somebody as crucial as Gigi Marino is a tough loss for the Gym Dogs, especially after the very first meet. And so definitely facing adversity on 3 events, as you can see right off the bat. So the mentality of the team and their consistency is really going to be tested this year. And great people to have on your team though, as with coaches Courtney and Suzanne. They've definitely been through adversity before and know how to handle it. So I think they'll be able to get through the season with some positive, definitely positive outcomes. 1.5 front layout, saving that 2-flip pass, that required pass for her last pass. Huge smile from her. I think she's excited to finally show off what she's been practicing for her whole career in front of Stegman.
No doubt about it. She opened with a 9.8 at Alabama, but this looked like night and day for her. She looked a little timid. All the passes were a little short on Friday. You can just see the crowd lifted her, gave her that energy, and that's a terrific routine for Jasmine.
Huge smiles and a big hug from Suzanne.
That's what it's all about right there. A great start for Jasmine Arnold, the first of Georgia's 5 floor routines. And after a 9.825 from Stephanie Couture, here is Bree Showers.
Step out. Very clean. This has always been one of Oklahoma's strengths, is the balance beam, and I don't think this year will be any different. Very interesting combo there with a full twist straight into the handspring swing down. A lot of variety and difficulty. Beautiful front toss. They're definitely not holding back on the difficulty either, despite it being the first meet of the year. On every event, they've just had some solid difficulty, and they've been doing it very cleanly, like you can see with that cartwheel layout. Gainer layout full, stuck, dismount, and a big hug from KJ.
An excellent job for Bree Showers. We've talked a lot about Anastasia Webb, Oklahoma's freshman all-arounder who's stepping in for the first time. Showers is a sophomore but didn't compete last year, so for all intents and purposes, starting from scratch here, she's in 3 events today, 9.85, 9.875, and a beautiful beam routine. So, give her a lot of credit as well. Those 2 alone are filling a lot of those vacated roles by the outgoing seniors in 2017 for Oklahoma. Back to floor now, Vivi Boblis.
Starting off with a whip, double tuck. She managed to keep that landing clean. Looked like she was a little bit short, but her knees buckled a little, but she didn't have to take any steps out of it. So good cover there from her. Whip half front full.
I think for Vivi, the power has always been there, and she's at her best when she can harness that power and clean those landings up. We've seen her bounce out of a lot of those passes just because she's got so much there, and I think we've seen her take a lot of steps toward that now into her senior season.
Definitely. She's definitely going to want to polish up the landings, and she does have a lot of power to harness in, you're right, and so that's going to be a huge thing for her this year. So far, like you can see, just a little bit overdone on that double pike. It's hard to rein in those nerves and that adrenaline too, especially on floor, because you go as hard as you can, and sometimes when you've got big tumbling like that, it's hard to control. So you're right, that's definitely going to be something she works on the rest of the year.
So Georgia's got 2 in the book on floors. You look at the middle pass there for Vivi Boblis. That follows A new career high 9.825 from Jasmine Arnold in the leadoff spot. Over on beam, we just saw the score come up for Bree Showers at 9.9. And here is AJ Jackson, senior all-arounder.
Having a 9.9 in that second spot is just very impressive, right? So early in the season.
And this gives your 3 through 6 scorers a chance to build on that and perhaps put up some enormous numbers for Oklahoma if you can keep it going.
Spring layout, step out. Beautiful. You can see she's just locked in up there. She looks very comfortable, like she's done this before a few times. A little off on that layout step out. I might have jinxed her. I hate when that happens. You say something and then she falls off the beam and feel like it's your fault. It just looked like she was a little bit off on that pike jump layout step out connection. Round off 1.5 step. Overall, it was a great routine besides the fall. Unfortunately, they're going to want to drop that routine, so hopefully they can redeem themselves with these next couple of routines.
Yeah, they were able to do this on floor. They had a fall and needed to hit their last 2 and did. They'll need to hit 3 in a row on beam. So it's Nicole Lehrman, Anastasia Webb, the freshman, which will be interesting, and then Maggie Nichols in the anchor spot. But again, you've got great beam performers following her, so hopefully Oklahoma can put that aside and finish the meet strong. They've got a chance to open the season with a big, big number here on the road. Georgia on floor now. Sydney Sneed will finish up her day in the all-around.
Long pass here, whipped 2 handsprings into the double tuck. Nicely done. Showing off her artistic side a little more this year with some violin version of Kevin.
It's the Ed Sheeran song.
Good job. You passed the test. Look at you. You're on a roll. That was nice. Rudy into the Shushanova. Again, that's another tactic to decrease the landing deductions. Such a solid contributor for her 3 years here at Georgia, and I know she's looking to do the same in her junior year. Heading into her last pass, the double pike, huge amplitude, beautiful routine. You know, they just keep improving with their routines in the lineup, so hopefully the scores will reflect that.
Yeah, that was terrific. And again, Sydney Sneed, we mentioned all those bounce backs on beam that Georgia successfully executed. Sydney had a fall on her 3rd pass. And look at the reaction from Gigi Marino in the background. She's cheering so loud, both crutches fall on the ground. And that's her mom there cheering her on from the stands.
Courtney Coupette's mom is very excited. You can tell they're twins. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. She's very excited for the success that her daughter's team is having so far tonight.
Back on beam now. Nicole Lehrman following the fall from AJ Jackson.
This is always a tough position to be in, regardless of how experienced you are. It's still tough going after a fall. But the good news is, first meet of the season, you know, there's not too much pressure. They've got a huge score going, so I know they want to keep it going, and she's capable of doing that. Cat leap into the switch side. Handspring layout, step out, beautiful. At this point, you know, when you get to competition mode, you just want to trust your training, and even if you go after a fall, that doesn't affect your performance, and so that's really important to remember is you've got it, you've trained it, and you just have to do what you've been training all week long and all fall. Gainer layout full, stuck landing, solid. She had a little balance check in there, but they hit the routine, and that's what they're going to want to do from here on out.
And they got stronger as that routine went on, so exactly what Oklahoma needed to do, and now they just need to do it twice more. Here, look at the, just a small shuffle there on the landing from Lehrman. So Anastasia Webb and Maggie Nichols, the last two for Oklahoma. And on floor, this will be Rachel Dixon following the 9-8 from Sydney Sneed.
Talk about a big tumbler. Rachel's got some huge amplitude and tumbling. Big double pike there. Been training in double Arabian, so I'm sure we'll see that at some point this season. Nice little wink at the judge right there. You got to schmooze all you can in your floor routine. It's really the only event that you can schmooze the judges a little bit.
Yeah, she found that camera on Friday night at Alabama.
She did.
It's good too on the road. You don't know where they're going to be,
exactly.
But she's got a knack.
That's good. You're aware of your surroundings. That's what the coaches like to see, because you're able to play with the crowd, and she does it well. Just one more pass for Rachel. Double tuck, huge. Very nice routine. They're getting better and better too as their floor routines go on.
Gonna look here at Rachel's final pass.
No endurance issues there.
No. A terrific job there. One routine remains for Georgia. That will be Sabrina Vega. Should be fun to watch with the home crowd behind her. Now on beam, bit of a pressure situation for Anastasia Webb, the freshman who will finish up her first collegiate meet in the all-around.
She's handled this first meet of her career beautifully. Now she wants to cap it off with this beam routine. Spring layout, step out. Just solid. It says a lot too when you have a freshman for the first meet so late in the lineup, especially on beam. Just says a lot about her consistency and just what she brings to the table.
At Oklahoma.
Exactly.
the beam, you know, it's the gold standard
beams.
for beam. Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful leap combo and split jump. Side aerial, back full dismount. She did not look like a freshman up there competing for the first time. That was very impressive. After a fall, too.
And really well done all day. Anastasia Webb, 2 9.85s and 9.825, and we'll wait the score here, but a hit routine on beam when Oklahoma needed it most. Getting ready to finish up the day for Georgia, only 5 on floor, so this will be it. Sabrina Vega, and this is the best start to a floor routine I think I've ever seen. I love this. Definitely
shows the kind of attitude that Sabrina has. Knock on the door, she's coming. I'll tell you too, I would be exhausted after this part right here, and she's got a whole floor team in front of her. It's so impressive, the endurance and just the amount of detail that's put into this floor routine.
And Courtney Kupets-Carter didn't hold back talking about this floor routine. She said it has potential to be one of the best in the entire country.
When you can add such unique dance like this and then incorporate the huge tumbling along with it and the consistency, I don't doubt that she'll have great success this year with that floor routine. to cap off the night with a huge last pass here. And she does just that with a huge double tuck. Kind of explodes into that salute at the end. I'd say that was the exclamation point on the end of the night that the Gym Dogs were looking for. That was a great routine by Vega.
Just a terrific bounce back, top to bottom, from a disappointing season opener at Oklahoma. They had 3 days to get back in the gym over the weekend, come back and fix it for their home crowd on Monday. And in 3 different lineups with only 5 competing, they did just that. And here is the exclamation point. Final pass, double tuck from Vega. And she is as fired up as anyone, but her teammates are giving her a run for their money there. Great finish by Vega, and now Maggie Nichols on the beam for Oklahoma. Anastasia Webb before her had a 9.875. Oklahoma trying to drop that 9.2 from A.J. Jackson.
Front aerial beat jump, ring jump, tiny balance check. So you're taking a deep breath just to kind of settle in. Beautiful handspring layout. This is, I mean, every position on beam is a tough position to be in, but even in the anchor spot after a fall, after everybody else has hit after the fall, I feel like that adds even a little more pressure to you. Just wanting to get that last routine so that you can drop that low score. But so far, she's handling it well as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. They've got the right person there for it.
Round up 1.5 dismount. Stuck. That was no question about it. That was a stick. So they're going to be able to drop that score, and they're going to have a huge all-around score coming up.
Boy, that is a fitting end to the day for Oklahoma. The preseason #1 team in the nation looked like it here in season opener on the road. 10,000 people in this building, and Oklahoma will walk out of here with a terrific road score. We're going to come back and wrap it all up. We've got your highlights and your final scores when we come back in just a moment to Stegman Coliseum. Welcome back to Stegman Coliseum, ladies and gentlemen. The home opener for the Georgia Gym Dogs in the books. It's Oklahoma with the win, a 197-550 to start their 2018 title defense. And the Gym Dogs with a big bounce back from a tough season opener at Alabama. They score a season best 196-6 here at home. Kevin Kopp alongside former Georgia Gym Dog Kat Hires. Kat, I think this is a day where both teams walk out of here feeling pretty good. Obviously, you want to come in and win the meet, and Oklahoma did that today by just under a point, but Georgia bounced back in a huge way from their struggles on Friday night against Alabama and looked very composed, especially when you take into account the fact that on 3 of those rotations, they had only 5 gymnasts. They did not have a fall in any of their floor lineups today.
Exactly. They have got to be happy with the performance that they had today because they did exactly what they were looking to do. And with a 2-day turnaround and a 2-point difference pretty much, I mean, that's just huge for them to improve that much in 2 days. And it's really starting them off the way that they wanted to this season. And Oklahoma as well. I mean, with the huge 197, mid 197 in the first meet of the season, it's very impressive.
Yeah, they are in mid-season form, no doubt about it. As we take a look at the winners in each of our individual events this afternoon, you can see a lot of crimson and cream on your screen right now. Brenna Dow with a 9.95 on that stuck Yurchenko layout 1.5 to take the vault title. Maggie Nichols will take home the title on bars with a 9.925. We had a tie there between Vivi Babelis, Rachel Dixon for Georgia, Bree Showers and A.J. Jackson on beam for Oklahoma with 9.9s, and on floor you had a trio of 9.9s on the Oklahoma side, Dow, Nichols, and Jackson. Rachel Dixon takes the all-around today with a 39.5 for Georgia. The overall team scores a 197-550 for Oklahoma. Great road score for the Sooners here as they get the win in their opener. Georgia improves by nearly 2 points from their season opener, and registers a 196.6, which is their best score this season. Georgia's back here at Stegman Coliseum on Friday night, taking on the Auburn Tigers. They'll look for their first win of 2018. For Cat Hires and all of us here at the SEC Network, this is Kevin Kopp saying thank you so much for watching, and goodbye, everybody, from Stegman Coliseum.